Well, you know, right, that the Kremlin, which is often called the shining pearl of Russian architecture, was actually built by Italians. These were specially hired Italian architects and craftsmen. Among them was Aristotele Fioravanti, a renowned architect who was also a counterfeiter and had to flee Italy after being accused of counterfeiting. And following the then fashionable style of the Sforza and Scaliger castles, he erected the Kremlin. But back then, it wasn't customary to put up gargoyles, those really scary little figures that you surely remember from Notre Dame. But in Putin's era, a gargoyle appeared, a Kremlin gargoyle by the name of Masha Zakharova. And today, the old gargoyle rasped out that the Kyiv regime is forming gangs in Africa, probably in retaliation for the sad fate of Chucky the Zulu, right? She didn't bother to explain why the Kiev regime would need to do that. And the thing is, the world has gotten just a little bit used to nightmares, blood, and horror. People were shaken a bit by the horrific scenes of mass killings in Sudan. Check out my Telegram channel. Everything is blurred under spoilers, but if you're brave enough, you can open it and take a look. It's useful. It's useful simply to realize just how much blood has been devalued, how familiar death has become. And in Sudan, you can easily recognize the hand of roughly the same mastermind who organized the executions in Bucha. And the background of these events, these suddenly erupted atrocities, is quite intriguing. As soon as it all began, as soon as Sudan received the status of a strategic and favored partner of Russia, it was from that moment that interesting events started to unfold there. Let me remind you that Foreign Minister Lavrov and the Sudanese Prime Minister, either at the end of September or the beginning of October, performed a ritual of mutual flattery. And immediately, dozens of memorandums and joint statements were signed. And the issue of establishing a Russian naval base in Port Sudan was resolved. But then, apparently, during this mutual flattery, the parties sensed each other's familiar taste and exchanged a knowing wink. And the Kremlin instantly deployed its military specialists to Sudan, to the sands of the Nubian desert. And immediately, nightmares began, counted in the hundreds of civilian corpses. Yes, there are, of course, plenty of factions in Sudan. Who is on whose side is not always clear, because the situation changes every day. It's never static, and their relationships are sorted out quite energetically. But the strings of absolutely all the factions and conflicts are always being pulled and manipulated by those very same partners of the Russian Federation, the partners who are consistently inspired and armed by it.